Whenever I have gone abroad, I have always been respectful towards that country's culture and its people. I simply don't have the nerve or the bollocks to step in someone else's country on their land and literally take the piss and take things and people for granted. I think it's disrespectful and just not the way to do things. I'm a firm believer of when in Rome, you do as the Romans do. Now, I've been all over the world with the army and on holidays. And for me, a holiday isn't just to go to some other country and lay on the beach and soak in the sun for days on end. What a waste of time. You can do that in this country. Well, sometimes. On the rare occasion the sun does show itself in the UK. But I'm more of a culture person. I'll soak in the culture, the history, and the languages. I like to talk to the people. And I love experiencing their culinary delights. Of course, I'm saying this as a British man, and the very least I expect back for Britain is the same goddamn courtesy, respect, and understanding. And let me just say this before I carry on. Rowdy sports fans, especially football hooligans, they don't really represent Great Britain. And no, lefties, you can't bring up Britain's colonial past. And especially, you can't use that old trope, well, you colonised their countries, they can come to yours now. This isn't simply tit for tat, there is something far more insidious going on here. Now recently, ever since 2016 at least, I have seen people from this country and abroad literally trash Great Britain. They have sought to change our history. They have sought to destroy our culture. And yes, there is culture in Great Britain. Even the English have culture. And I am very much offended when our historical statues are pulled down and street names changed because they offend people who don't like us for what we are and for what we were and for what we did. But of course, being 2022, people like me, people on the right side of politics, conservatives, true conservatives, mind you, nothing like the idiots in Parliament right now, they're not Tories, they're not conservatives at all. But people like me who are offended, who want to conserve everything this country was, we are labelled as racists, Nazis, xenophobes, the lot. And we're not allowed to be offended because if we are called right-wing extremists, for heaven's sake. And so it upsets me, really, when I see things like this. Now, this is the statue of the great Winston Churchill, one of Britain's greatest ever prime ministers. And if it wasn't for this guy, that we would all be speaking German right now. I know that's such a cliche, but it's true. It's thanks to this man who stood up to the cowardly appeasers in Parliament at the time, the left, the liberals, who wanted to make a peace deal with Hitler, that Britain stood her ground and we won. We stopped the Nazi invasion and we never gave up against everything that the Nazi machine believed in. And yet here he is being disrespected. I mean, this isn't just disrespecting the man, Churchill, his memory, his legacy, everything he did. But this is disrespecting the country. An Albanian man, a person, whatever the hell it identifies as, has draped this flag over Churchill's statue. This really offends me. Now, apparently all these people are political refugees, these Albanians who were demonstrating in London yesterday. And this, around the time of the Remembrance Sunday, I think is outrageous. I am pretty sure millions of British soldiers didn't die to see this happen on our streets today. And it's really ironic because these people, these Albanians, stood there protesting, saying they were political refugees and tired of Albania treating them badly. That's why they came here. And yet, here they were in Britain, in Parliament Square, telling us that they were entitled to be here and flying their own flag rather than embracing Britain. And I think it has to be a very stringent condition for migrants when they come to Britain, that they must embrace Britishness. If you come here and expect the government and the people to bend over backwards to your whims, then the least you can do is integrate and fly our flag and do your bit for society, our society. So if you come here and expect Britain to give you refuge, keep you safe, then the least you can do is give something back, something positive, something good. Because to me and to us, this rainy little island off the northwest of Europe isn't just some piece of land with grass on it. It means something to me. It has history. British people of all nationalities have bled into this ground for what they believed in. British people have died here and abroad for freedom, the type of freedom that their ancestors should be enjoying right now. Cultures and traditions which are meant to be passed on down the generations. And that includes Welsh and Scottish cultures. Because believe you me, folks, the Liberals in charge of this country, the lunatic lefties in authority in Parliament, in the Welsh Senate, in the Scottish Parliament, they mean to take all that away. Because mark my words, one day in the future, if this carries on, the Welsh anthem, Hen Wlad Fy Nhadau, that'll offend someone and it'll get changed. As will the Scottish anthem, Flower of Scotland. Someone will get offended by that and that'll change. Next thing you know, it'll be the kilts. Someone will get offended because kilts offend them. Or the daffodil represents hate speech. And then they'll turn towards the Welsh flag and the Welsh dragon. It will happen, that will offend someone in the near future and that'll be gone. And then they'll go for the Loch Ness Monster. And after that, it'll be your castles. And the next thing you know, haggis will have to have an extra ingredient or something taken out of it because that offends someone. And then they'll come for your languages. Someone will inevitably be upset with the Welsh language because it offends them, and that will stop being spoken, as will the Scottish Gaelic. This isn't happening all in one swift swoop. This is happening gradually. It started with the statues, with the street names, taking the knee. King Charles III next year will be changing his oath when he becomes king, when he's coronated. And anyone who sticks up for that, anyone who wants that culture, that tradition, that history to continue, you'll be labelled a far-right extremist. And once you take the knee, I promise you folks, you'll never get up. Of course, it's just come out recently that many of the so-called refugees who sail over in their little dinghy boats across the channel illegally are in fact Albanians. And the last time I checked, there wasn't a huge civil war raging in Albania, and it's very much a safe country. But many of them do come here, and they come here to commit crime, where they are slowly taking over the drug trade, which makes addicts and other people's lives, their families' lives, a complete misery. Now, if I claimed I was a refugee fleeing persecution, then I certainly would not be waving that country's flag over my head ever again. I'm telling you now, folks, this immigration problem is going to push Britain over the edge, because they're coming here in their thousands on a daily basis, and absolutely nothing seems to be done about it. And like I've said in previous videos, I'm all for migration, but it has to be strict and it has to be controlled. I don't care what colour you are. I don't care what religion you practice. But if you come here, you do it legitimately, you embrace Britain, and you do your bit. It's that simple. That's not racist, that's not xenophobic. I think that's common sense. After all, the left are now using these people to dismantle, destroy, and change Britain's history and culture forever. And I, for one, will not stand by and allow that to happen. So there we go, that's my video. Hope you like. Let me know what you think in the comments. And until my next video, have a great Sunday, look after yourselves, and Roger Trout.